Hi, this Boost Your BIM video is going to look at how we can suppress a Revit task dialog. Over here in the Revit Ideas forum, we see a request asking how to remove a warning when a change is made on a schedule. We can pop over to Revit here and come to my door schedule, and I'm going to change a type property. And we see this is the dialog that's popping up that the um, user wants to be able to automatically dismiss. So what we can do is we can use the Revit API and its dialog box showing event. So this is an event that Revit will trigger anytime it raises a dialog box. There are two different routines you see here. This one that we're going to run manually to register the event, which is what happens here on this line. And then this code here for dismiss task dialog is what will run when that event is triggered. If you were putting this into a compiled add-in, the code up here would go into the on startup method of the external application, and so it would get automatically run when Revit starts. For the sake of this example, it's in we're using a macro, and so we'll just manually run the macro. Here we're going to get the document, the application, and then the UI application. And the application is like the current session of Revit, and the UI application involves the user interface of that session as opposed to the sort of data side of that application. With that UI app, and you should note that I'm using the Revit UI events namespace. We can then register the dialog box showing event as shown here. Our code for dismiss task dialog is going to do a cast here from the dialog box showing event arguments to the subclass, which is the task dialog showing event arguments. If that's null, means it's not a task dialog, it would be a message box. And then we'll return and just do nothing. If it is a task dialog that we're working with here, we're going to check its message. And we're going to see if the message starts with this string, this change will be applied to all elements of type. If it is, then we're going to override the result, which means we're going to automatically, through the code, trigger one of the buttons in that dialog. We're going to trigger the OK button, and so this is an enum for the OK button, or if we use the auto select, you can see the other options. Right, there's cancel or close or no, none, okay, etc. Those enums underneath the hood actually are a integer value. We just need to convert it from the enum to the underlying integer to pass it in here to override result. Okay, so now we can come back to Revit. I will run that macro to register the warning or register the event. Now when I come back to my door schedule, you can see that I'll make changes to those type properties and not get bothered by that task dialog anymore.